What's going on, everybody? Thank you all for joining me today. If you haven't already, please make sure you hit the like button because that is the most important thing you can do for me on this channel. What it does is that it helps to make sure that those who are subscribed to the channel will indeed get their notifications, and it also helps to push this video through the YouTube algorithm as well. Secondly, if you're new to the channel or maybe you've been ghost watching this channel for quite some time now, please do me a favor and yourself a favor by hitting the subscribe button as well as the bell notification next to the subscribe button so you can be notified whenever I release a new video. And lastly, please make sure you share this video out on your social media platforms to your family and friends to inform them on this news and information. And that does, yes, also help to give me a slight boost in the YouTube algorithm also. And with the introduction out of the way, let's now get into today's news. And today, we're headed over to, Washington, D.C. We're headed to D.C. because we're going to go over a new poll that came out, which continues to show what seemingly every poll has been showing for the last couple of weeks now. And it's that Biden is getting obliterated by Trump. He's getting obliterated out here. And these new polls show more of the same. But now the poll that I'm going to show to you right now that comes from the Times, it's focused on swing states. Biden is getting completely destroyed in swing states by Donald Trump. This article here, we're going to go through two of them rather quickly. Both these articles, as per usual, the links will be in the description box below so that you can read these for yourself, which I strongly suggest that you should do, right? But this article reads here, I believe it's from Axios, if I remember correctly. Trump leads Biden in 5 swing states, new polls show. I just want to go through like 2 sentences real quickly here before we get into the New York Times article. Former President Trump leads in 5 of 6 key swing states, and New York Times Siena College polls out Monday morning. Why it matters. Trump's strength is largely thanks to gains amongst young Black and Hispanic voters, writes Nathan Cohen, the Times chief political analysis. So young voters, Black voters, and Hispanic voters. If Biden isn't able to rein these folks in, which he most likely will not, especially young voters concerning the war in the Middle East, we'll call it, right, to be safe on YouTube. If he's not able to do this, he's finished. He's finished and he's done. Here's the New York Times article that reads, Trump leads in 5 key states as young and non-white voters express discontent with Biden. Let's go through this here. This is the poll, right? The New York Times poll. New York Times / Siena College poll. And look at this here. In the swing states, Biden is simply getting annihilated. He's getting annihilated. Let me zoom in a little bit more for you so that you can see it better, right? But this is how it's panning out. In Nevada, Biden is getting obliterated by 12 points. In Georgia, he's getting obliterated by 10 points. When you get to Michigan and Arizona, he's losing by 7. That isn't obliteration, but you're down really, really bad. And then when we get to Pennsylvania, he's only down 3 points. And Wisconsin is the only state that he's actually leading Trump by 2 points, only Wisconsin. But outside of Wisconsin, it's pretty much a no contest almost. It's really a no contest at this point, because once again, he's just simply getting destroyed. And I don't see how you recover from this. But let's dive into this article a little bit just to get some more details concerning the polling, and the sentiment of the people and why things are going the way that they are for Biden. So let me pull this up for you right now. Let's dive a little bit deeper into this article. Donald J. Trump leads President Biden in 5 crucial battleground states, a new set of polls show, as a yearning for change and discontent over the economy and the war in the Middle East among young Black and Hispanic voters threaten to unravel the president's Democratic coalition. While Mr. Biden won all 6 of those states in 2020, victories in Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin would be enough for him to win re-election, provided he won everywhere else he did 4 years ago. And that's a big if. That's a big if, because once again, the way things are going right now, I cannot foresee him winning every other place in the same fashion alongside these three states. I just don't see it happening. The article continues to read, the findings are mostly unchanged since the last series of Time Siena polls in battleground states in November. Since then, the stock market has gained 25%. Mr. Trump's criminal trial in Manhattan has started, and the Biden campaign has unleashed tens of millions of dollars in advertisements across the battleground states. And this is what tells me, at least in my opinion, that at this point in time, Biden stands no chance of winning because everyone's seeing through the BS as it pertains to the Trump trials, right? And all the indictments. Everyone, for the most part, I shouldn't say everyone, a good deal of people are seeing through this nonsense as just sheer lawfare. This is lawfare that's going on here. Nothing more, nothing less. And they're seeing through this as that. As it pertains to a 25% gain in the stock market, once again, when it comes to regular everyday people like you and me, what does that mean? What does that mean to people like you and me? You're still getting killed at the grocery store and you're still getting killed at the gas pump, but the stock market is up 25%. So vote Biden Harris 2024. No, that's not how that works. That's not how that works. We know that that means nothing. Stock market went up 25%. And what? You're still getting killed everywhere else when you slide your debit card. But I digress. Let's carry on. The polls offer little indication that many of these developments have helped Mr. Biden, hurt Mr. Trump, or quelled the electorate's discontent. Instead, the surveys show the cost of living, immigration, and the war in the Middle East and a desire for change continue to be a drag on the president's standing. Why? Because people believe that Biden is not going to bring that change. And we're going to get into that next as we scroll down to the next portion of this article. The findings reveal widespread dissatisfaction with the state of the country and serious doubt about Mr. Biden's ability to deliver major improvements to American life. A majority of voters still desire the return to normalcy promised by Mr. Biden in the last campaign, but voters in battleground states remain particularly anxious, unsettled, and itching for change. Nearly 70% of voters say that the country's political and economic systems need major changes or even to be torn down entirely. And I would agree with that. I think many of you would agree with that as well. There's a lot of major changes that need to be made. And one of the biggest changes that need to be made is term limits put on those serving in the House of Representatives and the Senate. You can't have people as old as Mitch McConnell, Maxine Waters, and Jim Clyburn. These guys are like falling asleep, in the middle of speeches and whatnot, barely able to keep their composure and keep themselves together, but are able to remain in office for the purposes of keeping a corrupt system moving forward. It's crazy. How many videos have we seen of Mitch McConnell so far where he's in the middle of doing an interview and he just glitches out and gives a blank stare and they're saying, Mr. McConnell, Mr. McConnell.
Okay.
Senator, you're up for election in 3 short years. What are your thoughts on this?
I'm sorry, I had a hard time hearing you.
That's okay. What are your thoughts on running for re-election in 2026?
What are my thoughts about what?
Running for re-election in 2026.
That's
Did you hear the question, Senator? Running for re-election in 2026?
yes.
All right, I'm sorry, you all. We're going to need a minute. Senator Benny.
Yep.
Okay.
Somebody else have a question? Please speak up.
That's crazy. That is insane that he's still able to remain in office. And that is something that needs to change very quickly, on top of a lot of other things that need to change. But I won't hold my breath on term limits. I won't do that. And I think you all know that that's not going to change anytime soon either. Now, get this. Only a sliver of Mr. Biden's supporters, just 13%, believe that the president would bring major changes in his second term, while even many of those who dislike Mr. Trump grudgingly acknowledge that he would shake up an unsatisfying status quo. So even a good deal of those who despise Trump know that he's better for the country overall than Biden, and that he would possibly shake things up more and create certain changes more, especially as it pertains to real change in the economy that we can feel. They feel that he'll do that more than Biden will. The sense that Mr. Biden would do little to improve the nation's fortunes has helped erode his standing among young Black and Hispanic voters, who usually represent the foundation of any Democratic path to presidency. The Times Siena polls found that the three groups wanted fundamental changes to American society, not just a return to normalcy. And few believed that Mr. Biden would make even minor changes that would be good for the country. And we all know that he wouldn't. There's a reason to believe that. There's no reason to believe actually that he will make any changes, because as it pertains to what he's done since he's been in office, things have gotten gradually worse. So where's the evidence that things are going to get better? It's not. Things are going to continue to get worse. And most importantly, if Biden's able to pull off another victory, the border is going to remain open for another 4 years, to which we'll have another 10 to 15 million illegal immigrants crossing the border. And just, for all the freebies that these cities have to offer in places like Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, Denver, and so on and so forth. These illegal immigrants are burdening the cities. They're basically bankrupting these cities. And I know for the most part, a lot of people feel like, well, it's just those cities, and I don't have anything to worry about here. I'm someone who has said a million times over that just because you don't believe it's affecting you yet doesn't mean that it won't, because it will, right? And once again, another 4 years of Biden means another 4 years of open borders, which will come to the tune, in my opinion, of another 10 to 15 million illegal immigrants. And that's just something that we can't do. And in closing, I'll say this much, and I've said this so many times over, and I feel like almost every video now, but at this point, I honestly just don't see a path to victory for Biden outside of him pulling off his 2020 magic again. For those of you who don't know about that 2020 magic, and you don't know what I mean when I say that, what's the 2020 magic? 2020 magic is when one guy is leading the election by a hefty margin. You go to bed and you wake up in the morning, and then the guy who was losing now wins by an even wider margin. All of a sudden, he just caught up overnight, and guess who's president? He's going to need some of that 2020 magic if he's going to win, because it's just not happening. I don't see how it happens. I don't see a path to victory for him. And quite frankly, I don't want a path to victory for Biden. But once again, we'll see if he puts that magic into play. We'll see. With all that being said, that does it for today's news. Thank you all for joining me today. Hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel. Follow me on Telegram. The link to my Telegram is in the description box below, and we'll be pinned in the comment section. And also don't forget to share this video out on your social media platforms to your family and friends. Thank you for your time. Until the next video, peace, and have a great afternoon.